Okay. Hi, DC. How are you?
Hi, Douglas. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. Nice to have you with us. Let's see. You're an award-winning USA Today bestselling author, podcaster, motivational speaker, and coach.
hmm
That sounds like a full plate. Which one? Which
It is.
one? Which one came first?
Honestly, the author one came first. It became probably one of those natural progression to pick up the other ones. But the writing was kind of the thing that started it all. It was that inciting incident that got me into this world of connecting with people, connecting with other authors, and just kind of getting this career off the ground.
What was the first thing you wrote?
The first thing I wrote and that I published
Published, yeah.
was, yes, published is probably the best part. The first thing I published is Desk Intern, which is an urban fantasy novel based on the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And it's a bunch of quirky characters taking place in Texas. And you have this massive mayhem and adventure going through. What if death knocked on your door with a job offer? Will you take it? And that's kind of what starts this series and kind of brings this world back together.
Are all of your books in the same genre, or do you write over multiple genres?
I'm the crazy little kid that definitely writes in multiple genres, which makes it really interesting for marketing. It's fun for connecting with readers. I do everything from urban fantasy to humorous fictions. Very much, I have done everything from like devotionals to children's books to young adults. So I do a little bit of everything depending how and what inspires me at that time. So I tend to kind of jump around when it comes to writing.
Okay. Are you self-published or traditionally published?
I am. I'm actually an indie published. So it's really fun to actually be your own business owner and be your own creator and decide, okay, this is what we're going to publish today and be able to work with different artists, different elements to bring these projects together. Which sometimes I think as traditional authors, they take, and some of them truly understand how much of those behind the scene pieces you are responsible for when you self publish.
Well, it's true, but the reason I ask you that is because you said that you write in multiple genres. And a lot of times traditional publishers don't want that. They want to keep you consistent into one genre, and that's what they're going to push you as an author of. Where if you start bouncing around, they have more trouble finding shelf space for you in the bookstore, you know?
it's it's hard even for indies to decide how do you publish, how do you market, how do you connect with readers, and it becomes more of creating a brand versus the genre because it is tends to be very difficult to say, okay, I'm going to be doing urban fantasy today and then next week I'm going to do children's books, but at the same time I love having the freedom to jump around and be able to give my readers a little bit of everything instead of sticking to the same genre all the time.
All right. Well, I like that. So tell me a little bit about motivational speaker. What exactly do you talk about?
A lot of the things that I focus about is actually conquering your self-limiting beliefs. One of the things that I noticed, especially when I started writing, is the fact that you meet a lot of people that said, I want to write a book, or I want to start a business, or I want to do A, B, and C. And a lot of the things holding us back and holding people back is themselves. It's not really whether they have the resources, whether they have the talent or ideas. It is really much, do I believe that I'm meant to write this? Do I believe that I'm meant to do this? So a lot of the coaching and speaking I do is being able to say, can you conquer these beliefs? Can you conquer what is holding you back? And can you get out of your own way? Can you look at yourself as a talented, creative individual that is meant to do all these things? Or are you the one self-sabotaging your careers and your goals because you're going, I don't think I'm enough. I'm not good for this. It's just something's holding me back. A lot of the times it's honestly giving people permission to say, okay, you are meant to do these things. You are meant for greatness. You're meant to take this leap of faith.
It's an interesting concept because obviously self-confidence plays a huge role, especially in the arts. I think that's, half at least the battle. My question's sort of two-part here. Do you think that there is also, particularly with the internet sort of democratizing everything, where it's made it very easy for people to explore these avenues, do you think that there are people that have been given false illusions to say that maybe they shouldn't try it or they shouldn't do it because it isn't about self-confidence, it's just about that this may not be the road. In other words, let me give you an example. In other words, somebody who is an absolutely terrible singer, okay, But they have the desire to be a singer, but it's not something that you can particularly learn. You have to have at least the basic talent of being a singer and have a voice. Do you think that it's fair to sort of let the people fall, or should we help them to a different road?
Honestly, I think you see a lot of things from both extremes. You have the people who don't believe they can, and then you have the people who think they're amazing more than their talents can handle. I think the most gentle and caring things you can do for people is truly help them to figure out what they're really good at. Can you truly handle the arts? And it's hard because it's not an easy get rich kind of scheme that everybody thinks. You're not going to become famous overnight. It still takes work. And when it comes to writing, I always tell people it's about three-part. Yes, there's the art, that is the core of where the story comes in. You still have the craft. You can improve in the writing. You can improve in your sentence structure. You can make your prose tighter. You can do that. And you still have the business. One of the things you have to be able to be realistic, Douglas, is do you have the talent, the persistence, and the courage to take the leap and make it a career? Or is it just a hobby? It is okay to have a hobby that you enjoy, that you love, without having to pursue it professionally. And sometimes as individuals, especially in the States, we think we're supposed to pursue everything. We think we're supposed to make a career everything. And sometimes we forget that it is okay to make something a hobby, enjoy it, love it, without having to add the extra pressure. But being able to find, are you good enough to make this a career and persist through all the things and ups and downs is usually key at the beginning.
Well, I agree with you. And it usually, once people get into it and realize how much work it's going to take, that generally eliminates a lot of people from trying to do it professionally. I've always said to people, because I'm a musician, have been for my whole life, if your intent to go into this business is to make a lot of money, go work on Wall Street, because this is not where you want to go with that. If your intent to do this as a career is because this is what gets you out of bed in the morning, and this is what motivates you, and this is what your life is all about, then fine, and good luck with all the work. But I think you're right. I think people have this sort of illusion because they see people on TV and who are living in Beverly Hills in a mansion and driving a Bentley, and all they have to do is go and sing in a concert and they make millions of dollars. It looks very easy. It's not. It's not easy at all.
We always get to see the ending of the story. You get to see the highlights. You get the reels of all the amazing things that happen. Nobody gets to see the hours where you're not sleeping, where you're practicing, where you're writing, where you're not going out with your friends, and the sacrifices that it makes to get there. One of the things that I found very amusing is when I first wrote my first book, somebody asked, I was like, I can't, I'm writing. And years later, one of my friends like, I thought you was just making that up. I was like, who makes up I'm writing as an excuse not to go out? I was like, but who says they're writing? And it took me a minute to realize this. A lot of people say they want to write a book, but nobody actually wants to do it. Nobody wants to sit down. I have met people that have the speech they're going to say at the Oscars when they win for this amazing book that got turned into a movie. And you're like, great, where's the book? They're like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm like, have you started? Like, oh, not really, but I have these characters in my head. And sometimes it's like, okay, you got to start. You got to put some words on a page. You got to take the first leap to do this dream if it's really a dream. Sometimes we just want to talk about it, and that's okay. We just have to be realistic enough with ourselves to say, I know the work that it takes to get there. I'm not interested in doing it, but I like to talk about it, and that's okay too.
I like your story about, oh, I can't go out tonight because I'm writing. If you had said, oh, if you had a job working at McDonald's, and you said, oh, I can't go out tonight, I'm working at McDonald's, people say, oh, okay, all right, no problem. But
No problem.
when they say, oh, you're writing, come on. And that's the difference, isn't it? That really is. It's the attitude that, oh, this is something it's not a job.
It's not real. It's not going to pay the bill. It's not going to make you any money. This is something you can do anytime. I'm like, okay, I can't just find 5 hours out of my day just to do this anytime. You have to make it a commitment. I have a lot of mentees that I teach, and one of the things I tell them, writing to some extent is going to be one of the most selfish things you do, because nobody can do it with you. Nobody's going to sit there and hold your hand while you're typing away And if they come and hang out, it is really boring. It is you in front of like keyboard or computer, or you in front of like a pen and paper writing and not talking to them. So it becomes very selfish. It becomes something you do out of passion. When people ask me, why do you write? I'm like, there's a hole in my soul that is truly never filled until I'm writing. And I'm the happiest when I'm creating. I'm the happiest when I'm in this world and I'm connecting with my stories. But it's hard to express it to somebody else who doesn't experience the arts the same way. And for them to understand, I'm like, no, this is not just something I'm saying. Like, I'm not just home writing because I don't want to hang out with you. This is what is priority for the day.
Well, it's funny because I do some writing, music writing, songwriting. I've also written a couple of screenplays. And my wife and I had this sort of funny conversation where I said, when I'm writing, I don't want you in the room because it's distracting. But we have 2 dogs, and the dogs can come in the room and lay down on the floor. So she always says, oh, great, I got kicked out, but the dogs can stay. And it's just a joke between us. It's a loving kind of thing. She understands, but it's true, because not only is it boring for them to sit there and watch you type, but it's distracting to you because they won't keep quiet. They'll start talking, they'll say something, they'll break your concentration, they'll break your chain of thought, and then, you lose it. Wherever you're going with the story, you always lose it.
And for whatever reason, it's interesting because people have questions. Like, so what are you writing? I was like, well, I was doing really well until you asked the question. So, okay, where are we at now? And you feel rude. You don't want to tell somebody, I'm kind of busy right now. So It becomes very much that isolation because you're, seriously, in my opinion, we're downloading from the universe. You're making this connection and you get in a zone. It's easy to lose hours writing once you get in that zone. So for people to understand, like, you do this for fun. Yes, I actually enjoy to write, believe it or not. I actually have a lot of fun when I'm doing it. It's kind of fun for me.
Well, it takes you into a different world. I mean, it's like the 2 hours that you sit down to watch a movie, you're going there. And everything else just disappears and that 2 hours goes by. This is a movie that's being written as you're watching it in your head. Yeah, I totally get that. We've got just about a minute left. I want to make sure we get your book in. Your latest book is called The Traitor. Is that correct?
Yes. The Traitor is book 2 in the Order of the Assassins series. It is definitely takes place in Salem, Massachusetts, for anybody who's interested. Urban fantasy is humorous, quirky characters. It is a lot to do with what if you were looking for someone that you thought you knew, and if the whole entire plan unravels and you're finding out that your entire first assumption is not the right one, and there's a lot more underneath the story that you now get stuck in. So that's what Eric and Sasha get stuck in, trying to figure out who's really guilty, who can they trust, and what mess they got into.
Okay. How many books in this series?
So this one is going to have 3. So the next one will be coming out next year, and we'll be wrapping up this trilogy.
Oh, so this is the first book in the series?
This is the second.
The second
book. The first
book.
one is a novella. Yes.
Okay. And it is out now and available?
It is out on Amazon, available for anybody who has Kindle Unlimited. Take full advantage, because come next year, it's not going to be available in Kindle Unlimited. So go ahead and pick it up.
Okay, great. Well, DC, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was really nice meeting you. Nice talking to you. And last question, can you give out your website, please?
Absolutely. It's DC Gomez, all one word, -author.com. Simple. You can find me. That's my handle on everywhere you can find. If you're looking for it and you can't miss me because I'm probably smiling really goofily. So, hey, it's not hard to find. And Douglas, thank you so much for having me. It has been truly a pleasure and it's so much fun.
It was great fun. I enjoyed it. Take care and best of luck.
Same to you.